everyone, welcome or welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Nina, and here at this channel we talk all about mental health, personal development, and understanding our own psychology. And today we're going to be talking all about how to stop having a boring life. You wouldn't believe how many comments and emails I get about this topic, and it's something that I can relate to. I think our lives should be fun and interesting, and when it starts to get dull and boring, it can affect every aspect of our life. So I think it's actually a very, very important topic. I think that as adults, it is so easy to fall into this trap because we have so many responsibilities. We have so many unavoidable tasks that we have to take care of. And we crave a life that is stable. And we think sometimes that in order to have a stable life, it has to be repetitive and boring. I think also that we try to entertain ourselves just enough to not really see that we're bored. So we're always on social media, or we always have Netflix on, so we don't really acknowledge this. And I think for a lot of people, they just don't make fun a priority anymore. So maybe we're feeling tired all the time, or we feel like we don't have a lot of energy. So we might think of something that would be enjoyable or fun, but we put it off to another day. But then, of course, that day never actually comes. So we can start to live a life that becomes pretty boring, and we can really get stuck in this cycle, and we don't really know how to get out of it once we do acknowledge it. And I think this is true for many, many people, where they can't really pinpoint why they aren't as happy as they could be, but they really are experiencing it. They know that they're not living life to its fullest. But of course, everyone is different, and some people do feel that they like to have a life that is very predictable. They find it very, very comforting to have a life that is somewhat boring. And if that is the case for you, then perfect. Keep doing what you are doing. But if you are one of the many who feel that when your life gets boring, it leads you to feel that your life is less satisfying and less enjoyable, then today's video is just for you, because we are going to be talking about 10 things that we can do to make our life a lot more fun. Now, the first thing that we can do is to try new things. This is, of course, the most obvious one, but we want to be asking ourselves throughout the day, what can I do to make sure that today is not a repeat of yesterday? Because let's face it, we spend our day doing exactly the same thing as we do every single day, most of the time. So we drive to work the same way, we eat the same foods, we talk to the same people, and that is boring. It's boring not only because we're stuck in our comfort zone, but it's also boring because we are on autopilot. When we're on autopilot, we don't have to think when we are driving to work. We don't have to really think about the conversation when we are talking to the same people and probably talking about the same topics every single time. But we can pull ourselves into the present moment by presenting ourselves with new experiences and new stimuli. So that way we, really snap out of the comfort zone, because we have to think about how we're going to talk to this new person and really consider what they are saying. Or if we're driving to work a different way, we're seeing new things, we are becoming inspired, and we are re-engaging our brain. And of course, all of this makes our life a lot more interesting. Now, the second thing is to do something challenging. And this is something that our instinct may tell us to resist, but it is absolutely backed by research. In fact, studies in the subfield of industrial organizational psychology have really shown that people that have occupations that are challenging are much more satisfied with their work. Now, I'm not talking about things that are overwhelming and way too hard for us, but we want to feel that we are being challenged, that we are using our mental resources. And this is absolutely true in our non-professional life as well. Too much comfort does not equal happiness. I know we equate the two things, but it is simply not the case. And I know that many of us just get so excited at retiring as early as possible, but this is also oftentimes not linked to happiness and satisfaction unless we give ourselves something rewarding to do. So we want to get into the habit of setting challenging goals, maybe a fitness goal, maybe we're going to run a marathon, maybe we're going to write a novel this year, maybe we are going to declutter our entire house. We want to pick things that are meaningful, that we've kind of steered away from because we do feel that they are challenging or hard. These are the perfect types of goals. We also have to remember that time goes by really, really fast. So if we think that, well, I don't really want to start this goal because it's going to take forever, Think about how fast this year has gone. If we had started to learn a language or an instrument, we'd be pretty good by now, and the same thing will happen for next year. So if we start on something now, before we know it, we're actually going to be very proficient at many, many things, which also makes our life so much more enriching and enjoyable. And also, if we're real with ourselves, when we don't have goals, we don't really have a map for the future. We don't have a direction to go in. So we do tend to simply repeat what we always do, which, as we know, is not that fun or interesting. The third thing we can do is to expand our mind. We have to learn to get curious about life again. So many of us are intellectually starving, yet we have no idea because our life is so busy, it's so crazy that we don't even acknowledge that we are not nurturing that part of ourselves. I know that for sure. I definitely went through this when I was a business owner. I owned a dance studio and my life was so busy and chaotic that I never had time to really honor my intellectual side. And with time, it really had a negative effect on me. So we can start to allow our mind to kind of wander again and start to get intrigued by things and to start researching things that we find interesting. We have to become a student of the universe again. Children really have that concept, but adults tend to forget that learning should be lifelong. So we want to, start learning about philosophy again, or classic literature, or space, or whatever you find intriguing. We also really have to start challenging our opinions and to expose ourselves to new ideas, because it's not that the world is boring. The world is definitely not boring. But if we're only seeing, even mentally seeing, such a small part of it, of course it's not going to seem very interesting. So we have to intentionally start thinking new thoughts and really exposing ourselves to new perspectives, because research really shows us that unfortunately we tend to think the same exact thoughts up to 95% of the time, and we can probably guess how interesting our life is going to be when it is simply that repetitive. The fourth thing that we can do is to reduce our time on energy-sucking activities. So of course these are things like watching endless television, scrolling through our phone, things that we do for entertainment, yet really aren't that fun. They are, more than anything else in most cases, time wasters that in no way motivate us and in no way inspire us. And it's so interesting because if you ask anyone, they will tell you they simply don't have a lot of time in their life. They are so busy. But in reality, if we limited our time on our devices, we're going to find in most cases that we have a lot more time than we think to do things that are actually fun and interesting. I think a lot of times we don't even realize how much we are using our phone because we don't always use it all at once, and a lot of times we're just kind of compulsively checking our phone, being distracted all through the day. So it really adds up. So at this point, we just need to be honest with ourselves if we have an addiction, because for many people, that's all it is. It is a habit that becomes an addiction. And it's an addiction that really steals our motivation. It steals our time and our inspiration and motivation. So what we can do is instead start to impose very healthy limitations so that we have time for the things that are actually meaningful for us. Now, the fifth thing we can do is to travel often. This is important because it really pulls us out of the comfort zone. It inspires us. It really forces us to see and to try new things, to engage with new people, to see new surroundings, and to get out of that daily grind for a while. And of course, vacations are great, but they are not always possible. So we want to make sure that we are having little mini adventures as often as possible. So going on long Sunday drives or exploring nature trails. All of these things help us to press the reset button. It allows us to escape our reality in a healthy way, and it also reminds us that the world, the universe, is bigger than our problems. In fact, whenever I get stressed out or I feel like, my life is not going that well, I either drive to the ocean or I go outside and I just stare at the stars, because it reminds me that there is so much out there, that the world is mysterious and fantastic no matter what is going on in my life. And just having these little breaks from our normal life really reminds us that there is so much more out there. Number 6 is to find an engaging hobby. Now, there are countless theories on happiness, but the one I most subscribe to comes from Dr. Martin Seligman, who is considered the father of positive psychology, and he came up with what is called the PERMA model of happiness. PERMA is simply an acronym, and the letter E in that acronym stands for engagement. So this is what we're really describing when we're talking about people getting into a flow state, where they kind of lose track of time, when they are so interested in what they are doing that they can kind of tune everything out. So they are fully engaged. So these are the types of hobbies that we want to look for. They also tend to be great for self-expression. So maybe for you it's cooking or photography or writing or playing the piano. These types of activities are so beneficial because they really slow down cognitive decline. They also help us to form neural connections. And again, they really pull us to that state of full engagement. The hobby for me that is the most meaningful is probably playing guitar. And whenever I share this with people, they often say, oh, I would never have time for that, or that's kind of frivolous, or I would never feel comfortable dedicating that much time for myself when I know there's so many things that I need to do for the kids. And I think there's really a disconnect, because we have to understand that we need to have these types of activities in order to enjoy life and to feel fulfilled. And when we are enjoying life, when our life is interesting and exciting and rewarding, we show up for others much better. We are a better mom, we're a better friend, we are a better dad, we are a better employee. We are better off when we are enjoying our life. We have to know that spending time doing things that we love is not selfish. It helps our mental health, and it helps us with our overall well-being. And again, it helps us in our relationships and our professional life. So it's kind of a win-win overall. Now, number 7 is go to the gym, or ride a bike, or go swimming, or go running, or whatever it is you enjoy, but get out there and exercise. And this is not just for the obvious reasons. We know for our health we should be exercising, but also exercising helps boost our mood and gives us much more energy. A lot of times our life is simply boring because we're too tired to do anything. So exercise can improve our endurance. Now, I never in my life thought that I would become a runner. This is something that I had zero interest in, but something that I kind of pushed myself to do probably about 3 years ago, and it has really genuinely changed my life. I have so much more energy. In fact, I know that on days when I wake up and I am just feeling like I have zero energy and I can't get anything accomplished, I know that if I go running, I'm going to have energy to do whatever it is I want to do throughout my day. It seems crazy to think that exerting energy is going to actually give you energy, but that is exactly what happens. It also can force us to be in a new environment and to engage with different people, which makes our life more interesting to begin with, but also just having the energy to do the things that we want to do that would be fun is just such a gift. Number 8 is to find something meaningful to participate in. When we feel like we're making a difference or that our life has a purpose, we are never really bored because we feel like our life is meaningful. We feel like we are fulfilled and we are engaged with the world. And it's a very, very positive cycle because we're helping other people, but in reality, we're also helping ourselves. Plus, helping others just feels really good. It helps us to feel better about ourselves. It helps to boost our self-esteem. And when we're feeling really good about ourselves and we're feeling really good about life, it makes it a lot easier to kind of get out there and create these fun and meaningful experiences. Number 9 is to socialize more. We need to have real experiences with real people. I think a lot of times we get lazy or we feel like it's a hassle to try to get everybody together or to organize something. And I think also because of the pandemic, we kind of got used to being on our own. When we become isolated, it can be directly linked to boredom, even for introverts. I know a lot of times people will say that they are introverted and therefore they don't really have that need to have relationships with other people, which isn't really the case. Not only does socializing make us less lonely, but it's also, of course, connected to greater well-being and happiness as well. So even when we feel like we don't have a lot of friends, we can go to activities or events where we are going to be forced to socialize. So we can think about things that we enjoy. Maybe we like to go to art galleries. Maybe we like to go stargazing, or maybe if we are a musician, let's say, we'd like to do something where we are going to be able to interact with other people with those same interests. So this happened to me just the other day. I went in and I actually bought a new guitar, and probably the most rewarding part of that experience was simply having a few minutes to talk to other musicians that happened to be there. So we can use all these small things to actually make our life more fun and interesting, and definitely more enjoyable. And number 10 is to make fun a priority. The key here is to just always ask yourself, how can I make this activity or this experience more fun or interesting? So you have to clean the house, turn on some music. You have to do some annoying task, maybe take a friend along for the car ride. You have a weekend off. Push yourself to do something that you are going to enjoy. You've got to think of it like medicine. We have to remember always that we are in control of this life. We are designing this life. So if our life is boring, we have to make changes. We have to take opportunities. We have to stop thinking that we have to create the perfect plans or the perfect moment. It's not about that. It's just about getting out there and enjoying life. And start scheduling fun. Make it a priority. Make a list of all the things that you would like to do and actually get out and do them. Hold yourself accountable. You have this one life. It can be boring if you want, or it can be fun. The choice is absolutely ours. So that is my list of the 10 things that we can do to make our life less boring, and I would love to hear your thoughts, so please do leave a comment below. And as always, I truly hope you found today's video to be interesting and helpful. If you did, please like it, share it, and definitely become a subscriber if you are not one already. We absolutely want you to stay connected, and I hope the rest of your day is extraordinary.